Hello, and welcome to the RCD ShareNet. I am Dave Thompson, Community Outreach Coordinator, and this is part 2 of Acting for People with Disabilities. And today we have two guests today, and we are talking about the possibility now with the change in the world in the last year or two. As I said in my intro, the old Bob Dylan song, "Times They Are A-Changin'." There seems to be a lot more, there's a lot of, landmark issues on racism and inclusion in the world. And you just start to see people with different sort of varied abilities on your television screen now. And so we wanted to sort of give our viewers and members some information if that was something they wanted to pursue as a hobby or what I explained or sort of explored with our guest on Monday was as a healing process as well for an injury or whatnot else. So, or as a possible career. So we have Michael Fontana from Rio Wales, and you are the acting school manager. And Brandy, and for some reason I didn't get your last name written down. Oh, you're muted, Brandy.
No worries, love. It's England, like the country.
Oh, like England. Oh, okay. And you are from Ignite Agencies, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And both of you have a long, huge bios in the industry, and you, especially in education, and Brandy, a very neat bio about sort of melding entrepreneurship and nonprofit that was very interesting to me. So we're going to get started kind of with our questions, and I guess you guys can kind of decide who wants to answer. If you want to both sort of chime in, I'll kind of just sort of improv as you go along. Where do you think and how do you think people should get started?
For when, I think that it's never too early to start, and it's never too late to start. Acting is a lot of things, and it can give you a lot of skills. On the one hand, it's a beautiful and extremely difficult and challenging profession. On the other hand, it's a wonderful way to explore yourself, your limit, and to gain skills in public speaking, to gain skills in problem solving, to learn how to quick think and react to any kind of situation. So it's never too early, and I would dare to say it's never too late. When that's about it. Where? Well, that's a completely different discussion. It depends also what could be your aim, but if I start more focus on what could be the topic, so theater and disability. Where, again, anywhere, what we are trying to do at Real Wheels, we're trying to offer for free, so completely free without any type of fee, the possibility of getting a professional acting training that is slightly different from what we see in many other great and awesome situations. So we have a lot of wonderful, community-based projects that are, again, incredible and can really make a difference in people's lives. What we're trying to support is a little bit what you, Dave, was saying at the beginning. And so there is the feeling that now the industry is opening more and more to diversity. And so we want to support this movement, giving the people the right tool, giving the people the right type of information and training to succeed in putting on screen diversity. And that said, I will let Brandy talk because she has a lot of experience in the professional sector.
You said a lot, as if I was really old and been doing. That sounded daunting. No, I appreciate you so much. You're so sweet. And I agree. I think it's never too late at all. I mean, I know a gentleman on our roster last year is 86, and he got a really amazing role and made $7,000 for 2 days work. So, wow. And he was like, "Oh, I don't know if I should. I've never done this before." And I said, "Well, it doesn't hurt to try, right? You never know how fun it is. Like anyone of any walk of life should be able to do something if they're passionate about it." So I completely agree. Never too early or too late, to get started. And some people just have a natural ability. They don't need to take years of training. They don't need to hone very much, just little things. And they're just a natural. And some people have held themselves back because they don't think that there's a place for them. And what's so great about what you said at the beginning, Dave, is there's a place for everybody right now. And the film industry is now saying, we are going to represent real people, you know, and I love real wheels. I just think that's so, I think it's just so brilliant. You know, it's a great play on words and it's just fantastic. And I think the best way to get started is just to know why you're getting started. What is it for you? Is it something that's a fun hobby that you just want to try in your spare time? Is it to build self-confidence and you just want to play a little bit? Or is your heart really set in, I want to get cast, or I want to write, produce, and star in a feature film that talks about my walk of life? I want to educate people and inspire people around the world about my story, or people like me's story. And so really it's knowing exactly why. And then obviously there's the work that comes after it, because you do have to do the research. And I think a great way to do research on something that you want to do is to either get a job or volunteer or intern in an arena where you can watch other people that have been doing it forever get experience. So I think that's just such a great way to get started. Obviously getting some sort of formal training. That's why Real Wheels and doing their free training is so great, because it's something to put on a resume and show the casting director, the producer, or whoever it is that you want to work with, that you're in it for real, that you're going one step ahead and not just saying, hey, I'm a dreamer, believe in me, put me on TV. They're showing I've put in the time, effort, energy, and money to, you know, to show you that I'm serious about this profession, because so many people treat it just as a hobby. And unfortunately, there's so many people that want to be actors. Sometimes if you do just treat it like a hobby, you don't get the same opportunities as people that really show up for themselves.
Right.
So I think it's all about, you know, getting that training at the beginning. But
Awesome.
definitely knowing why you're doing it is my number
Yeah,
one.
that's that, and that, you know, is something that we do here, especially with our employment programs and things like that. It's like, why, not just, oh well, because that's what you're supposed to be. No, you if you have to fight past a huge disability and whatnot else, there's got to be, with my illness, I always say it's got to be more than a paycheck. There's got to be something else motivating me, or I could do it, but it won't probably last very long unless there's some more meat to it. So you kind of led up to the training establishment. So your program is a free program, which I didn't know. I just learned that now. And so when it comes to training, is there anything someone should look for specifically?
On the one hand, obviously what Brandy said about, you know, get first-hand experience, it's extremely important. Because sometimes there is a gap between the work that you might receive even in a wonderful school and the work that you're going to do in the industry. And so if you're able to get some training and get some experience, this is wonderful. Another thing that I would suggest to look for is a combination of theory and practice. Often in the English-speaking world, there is a strong division between, you know, people that do the job and people that think about the job.
Yeah.
And I do not support this. I understand why this distinction is in place, but I think that a great opportunity right now for the disability community and for everybody that want to be an artist is to become an artist, not just a professional actor. That is a wonderful job and a very important job, but you can create a film, not just be a star in a film.
Right.
And for this reason, I would suggest, you know, try to have not just a technical and practical information, but also, you know, as Brandy said, be passionate about the art, be passionate about theater, know who are, you know, the reference point. So because you're going to be part of an artistic tradition. And
Right.
if you want to make a difference, you want to build on that. You want to show why your work is different and important. And so this is what I would suggest.
Awesome. What do you think people should be building in the digital age now, or should be having, or should be working towards?
This is such a great question, because I think a lot of people do this part backwards. You know, they're at the beginning they still don't really know who they are as an actor, but they're like, I must get headshots. This is the first thing I have to do to impress people. Where I think it's slightly backwards. I think you should start acting and start building that craft, and getting to know your character, and then starting to put together the package. So that would be my first little piece of advice, is just to start at the beginning. Start auditioning for independent films, student films, just fun projects, creating your own projects to really show that you're an artist and trying. Then once you kind of know who you are and want to start presenting yourself to agents, for example, for film and TV, because it's a different world than theater for sure, then definitely having a package that has at least the bare minimum, like a resume that shows that you have training, that you have, stepped ahead of the 10,000 other people that want to be actors in your age range and ethnicity, and just showing, look, I get it. This is a business. There are certain things I have to learn about this business. There's certain techniques that I have to learn, or at least show that I've put in the initiative to start learning about it. So a resume that just has a little bit of the training. If you have auditioned and booked any student or independent films, it's great to have that on there as well. So it's just a little bit more professional than the people that email us and say, for example, hey, I love TV, represent me, and it doesn't really show us that they understand that there are steps in between the loving TV and
I know.
together.
So, but that's still the basics. You still, someone to weed out and to sort of have that person have the memory of you. It's still the basic headshots and resume. And
yes, and as much as I love people, and I love people helping people achieve their dreams, but this industry is very cutthroat. I think it's harder to be a working actor than it is to be a brain surgeon these days, because there's so many people with social media and everything that want to be on TV. And that's why it's really important to know why you're doing it, because if you're passionate about your craft and telling a story, that's going to carry you through the ups and downs of this crazy, nutty, chaotic industry. But if it's just, I want to be famous, I want to be on TV. And we notice that when you write a really great cover letter to an agent, and you explain why, and then you have like the basic tools of a great profile, we know that you take it seriously. Like, we get between 30 and 50 applications a week to work with us. So, and I don't think people realize that. I think that a lot of actors are the creative types, and they're like, hey, I love acting, I'm passionate about it, I've done theater for 5 years, please represent me, I'll do anything. And they're lovely, and it sounds so exciting and passionate, but at the end of the day, these casting directors are paid a lot of money by these big production companies to find the exact right person. And if we don't have that basic package showing that you are putting in more work than everybody else that wants to be there, it doesn't matter how lovely or heart-centered you are, or creative or artistic or a great actor, you have to have the basic business tools too. It's a very cutthroat industry. So
Yes. What do you feel what are emerging sort of roles for people with disabilities? Is it pretty wide open, or?
It is. It's very wide open right now. It's really exciting, but it's also very niche at the same time. Right? So they're looking for very specific stories to be told. So they're quite often looking for very specific disabilities as well to be telling those stories. And I've a few of our actors, it's tough. Like a couple of our wheelchair actors right now, we struggle to even get them background work on set, and it's very frustrating for us. And when we talk to the casting directors and the producers and we ask, why are we not getting more opportunities? And they're like, well, it's a safety concern, and we're trying to advocate that you just have a black rubber mat that you throw over the big wires on set, and that they can roll up and over. But there's no accessible vehicles to get them to set, because set's changing consistently too. So one of our big goals with Ignite is to actually fundraise for a bus that's accessible, that can also double as, what's it called? The onset, the trailer,
like a trailer or something, right? Okay.
Exactly, with the bathroom facilities and all of that as well. So there's quite a few obstacles in that respect to overcome. But in terms of roles, we're starting to see everything open up a lot more, but people still have to realize that there's a very specific vision in the casting director's head for telling a story, right? So every actor, it doesn't matter what their level of ability is, they are all saying, oh, I can do anything. But we can't all do anything. I'm a 6 foot tall, 200-pound, chubby, curly redhead. I'm not going to play Lara Croft in the next film. So we kind of have to know ourselves as well, and the stories that we can tell. Yes, as actors and creative people, we want to tell every story, but we have our niche areas too of those stories to tell. So people have to be aware of that about themselves and just be the best them that they can be. And then the opportunity comes along as you're prepared. What's that old saying? Opportunity meets preparation, I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and that kind of jumps to my next question about the accessibility and how that sort of change. It's still a real learning curve yet on sets and whatnot else.
That's what we're told a lot. That's why education is so important. That's why having conversations like this that people can listen to are so important. Because we have to talk about it. We have to make sure that everyone is educated so that people go, oh, it's not that hard to have a big black rubber mat that's thick that you can cut, like they are simple fixes for a lot of things. So that's why I'm grateful that you're doing this.
I think too, with this day and age, and people are so worried about upsetting someone accidentally.
It's to expand on this conversation, it's not just a matter of course, education is important. What I think we need, and it's easier in theater because there is less money involved. And so somehow there is more room to do some of these things, but it's to change the process. So it's not just to adapt the process, but to change. If we want to have a different outcome, we need to do things differently all along the way. And so this idea that, of course, as you said, you have different kind of stamina. So the point is not to create a process that accommodates your stamina, not you increasing your stamina, because that is not going to happen. And so it's complex, and it's part of being exposed. And this is also one of the ideas that we are trying to explore, this idea of asking, like you have done, Dave, asking all our students, what do you need? What are your needs? How can we make you comfortable and give you the best experience? How can we set you up for success? And so trying to switch the process around. And it's difficult, but little by little, we might get there.
Because you always think of that picture of that old lady crossing the street, and the scout helps her, forces her across the street, and she actually wanted to go the other direction.
Yes. Yes.
And I always remember that. It's like, oh, thank you very much, but I was going that way.
Yeah. And this idea that, it's because it's the history behind how we have deal with disability, this idea that, oh no, we have to help you out. And it's like, no, we don't have to help you out. We just need to let you do your things, and you're going to be perfectly fine by yourself. And
I remember watching shows since I started working at RCD and going, that person is not really in a wheelchair. And those little things, like you see someone up here with the shoulders, there's no way he lives day to day pushing a wheelchair like this, right? And that's kind of like another question I had on my list was, what about consultation opportunities, and how are they writing characters in? Are they asking for people to help sort of make it realistic, like, put a person in their house that has a wheelchair, but everything is too high for them or something like that? Are they catching on to those sort of things?
Is this for me, for film and TV?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Yes and no. It's getting a lot better. There's more consultants being brought in, but at the end of the day, we're still advocating for the person with the disability to get cast in the role, to be that completely authentic self, as opposed to just being the consultant that teaches the actor, so it's changing. We're seeing it happen a lot more. But even the show, maybe I shouldn't say, there's a huge show out right now that was filming in Vancouver a year and a half ago, and it was supposed to be in a world where every person is blind, and our blind actor didn't get a role on it, but they trained a bunch of people how to act blind. So that was quite a frustration for us. Yes, they did have consultants, but at the end of the day, we were like, we can't even open up this door for this person because this is literally a perfect opportunity. So there's still some frustrations, but everybody's frustrated and everybody's kind of pushing for the changes to come now. So there is definite hope on the horizon coming very quickly.
Great. Like, I know there had been a couple of shows the last couple of years. I remember reading things about how, there was this person right here, and you trained somebody, and we kind of touched on that before about, that sort of cherry picking a role. If you're looking for somebody, how do you sort of walk through the political correctness, going, okay, I need you to act more like this, or like that's a real roller coaster too, isn't it?
I step on my own tongue all the time, I have to say. There's always times when I'm like, because this is why it's all about education.
Yeah.
We need everyone to just be comfortable talking to everyone about everything, but being cautious with our words as well, so we're not saying the wrong thing. So it's you kind of walking this fine line. But I do it myself. I'm always asking my colleagues, am I saying this the correct way? Because I don't
Is
want
this
to...
first person language?
Yes, exactly.
Would you be pissed off if I said this to you like this? Yeah. Yeah, it was a learning curve for me, and every once in a while there's still certain words that stick in your head, and it's going to take a while. And but I think this is a great opportunity for people, especially from a consulting, and being able to tell people this is what somebody like this would do, and this is why, and it's not something that's made up. And I know that every once in a while they put lists out in a couple of the Facebook groups that I'm in, where this is where people with these disabilities have been shown depicting their sort of, and it's great that this is keeping up as well. I just want to sort of check if I've covered everything. So the extra work is still probably tough as someone with, sort of, if they use a wheelchair or whatnot else, it's still probably a challenging thing to be doing.
It is, but we're fighting our butts off for it. So don't let that stop you. Feel free to call us. We will, the more people that we can represent with disabilities that would like the opportunity to work on set, the harder we can push and say, look, we have 30 fabulous young actors that are aspiring here. Young or old, doesn't have to be young, but newer actors that are aspiring that deserve their day on set too. The more people that we have, in that corner that we can all push for, I think the faster change will have to be made. The more pressure we can put on the industry. Yeah.
That's a great thought, to have that portable sort of studio there that would just, it's like, and to have a couple, like, what do you say to people when we're sort of finishing up this? Is I get that it's just try. I know that there's lots of places out there for, is improv a really important skill to sort of have?
I would say 110% yes.
Right.
I think improv is one of the best skills anyone can have, whether you're an actor, a CEO, whatever, because it's confidence. You build confidence from having to think on your feet and just go, you know what, I can do this.
Yeah,
and it's
look
scary.
Stupid in front of a bunch of people. So how is the school going since you've opened up?
The school is going well. We haven't started yet. We have just finished taking application.
Right.
The 30th of June was the deadline for application. Now we are starting booking all the applicants for an in-person interview. We want to see as many people as possible, of course, within the safety of all the provincial guidelines and all these kind of things. But we do believe that it's key to have the opportunity to interview these people in person, also to see these people and to give this opportunity to see the instructor and to start interacting with the instructor. Once again, the idea is to build a cohort that is going to succeed, a cohort that is going to work a lot as soon as they graduate or even before that. And we are blessed. We have received a lot of incredible application, and the diversity and variety of the applicant is blowing us away. Right now, there are 40 years between the younger and the oldest applicant.
Wow.
And so, yes, and this, without even touching on the different type of disability, self-identification, and all these kind of things. So we're extremely excited. We honestly don't know exactly how we are gonna to, make everything works and bring everybody together. As many of you know, disabilities, sometimes the accessibility need conflict a little bit. And so there is need for everybody to take a step back and to be careful and to be caring and to find a way forward. But we really believe that if we can make this work, we can suggest a different model of making art that is as inclusive as possible, where the students are the center of the learning experience, and where disability is not an handicap, but is just a thing that is part of you, and you are valued for that.
When I first was quite much worse in my illness, I would vibrate, and I would literally be like this, and my mom used to go, that must make people uncomfortable, and I'd be like, I'm the one that's uncomfortable. I really give a rat's two hoots what the other people are feeling. As long as I don't hit them when I do it, I'm okay, right? So final words, Brandy, before we finish up. What's going on with Ignite? I believe it's worldwide or national?
Well, we had very, we're only 3 years old. We were born 3 years ago, a year and a couple months before COVID stopped the world in its tracks. And we were very fortunate enough that we had a really amazing group of actors that joined us in the first year. And we were able to open a second location in Toronto during COVID, which is so exciting for a new agency. And we're looking to expand to the US and Mexico within the next year as well, because we really want to be a force to be reckoned with. We want to say to the industry, we will not tolerate unrepresented people from the real world in the film industry. Like we want to make our stamp and do that. So anyone who has questions or has advice or just wants to tell us their story so that we can be a better, more inclusive agency and hopefully in turn help the industry to become more inclusive, we're here and our ears are open. Thank you.
Just something that just sort of popped into my head. I just want to throw back at the finish here is a lot of times with people with disabilities, there's one thing they can do really well, one thing they can't. Is there a sort of a place for a troupe to be able to be sort of hired as a group that can kind of offset certain things, and you could use certain, different people for different things? I'm not sure if I really formed the question yet, but I hope you're getting what I mean. Almost like a collective or a co-op sort of idea.
Well, I definitely think that's a lot easier to achieve within the theater realm for sure than film and TV, because film and TV is very like an individual thing. However, our goal is during COVID, we had to move to a smaller location to downsize a little bit at our Vancouver office, and it became no longer accessible. But once we moved to our new office, which will be accessible, we would like to be able to do like group workshops and things like that. So it is like a collaborative event where people are helping and creating and producing their own content as well. So that's another reason why I think Real Wheels is so fabulous, and we're so excited to be able to work with them in the future for creating opportunities like this. Because the film industry we wish it was more collaborative, and that's kind of our goal with this agency too, is to just be like a little group of supportive family that helps each other. But it really is still kind of like your Bob's over here and Tim's over there, and so something we're definitely working towards.
Yeah, it's
awesome.
And it's definitely one of the dream, one of the outcome that we wish to see of the school is to have this type of collective, is to have a company that is a completely different type of theater company, in which you have people with all the different kinds of abilities working together and really moving forward through a different creative process and showing what is possible to do.
I was thinking, like, if they needed certain disability in the show and they just had that group on file or on contract, they can draw from that, and they know that there'll be someone that they can send them to do that or whatnot. And it's kind of like, you can do this part of it. I can back you up with that because you can't because of your disability. I think that's a way that can empower a whole group at the same time, and they can use that as a bargaining sort of force.
Well, the great thing about our industry with film and TV is there's like 3 softwares that are very prominent, where all the casting directors post all of the job opportunities, and us agents have an account with them as well. And we create profiles for each individual actor. And then we just have those profiles active. So even if an opportunity doesn't come up for 6 months or a year, or it's a collaborative opportunity, we have those profiles ready to go. So when the opportunity comes up, we just send that profile off to the casting director or the producer team, and they get to see who we represent, who we work with. And then generally they'll send us an audition script, and then the actors can play with that, see who can help each other with what role. And so that's where it becomes collaborative, is by having an agency that is able to connect people in that way. So yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think I'll probably try to finish on time. It's usually a problem with me, but and thank you very much. Nice to meet you on the little small thumb screen. and we will definitely enjoy watching this program. It's going to it's July 14th, and we will be hopefully being able to come back and check in on our ShareNet YouTube channel, and we can sort of check in maybe and see how it's going in 6 months, and sort of follow how this change in the industry has happened, and hopefully we can help sort of where we can.
100%. Thank you so much for inviting
Thank
me.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Have a great day.
Bye.